to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Khleif, and I am thrilled you're here. And I'm super excited about today's interview with my friend Jorge Abreu. Now, George and I have known each other a while. He's been to my boot camp. He's a hitter, and we had a lot of fun because we were both at a mastermind in Jamaica recently, and really got to know each other a little better. Now, George, if you don't know him, he's in over 1,700 doors as a GP, and he's a LP in 1,000 doors. Now, he's the CEO of Elevate Commercial Investment Group, and he's also got a construction company called J&T Construction. In fact, we had them help us with an asset that we've got under contract right now in Dallas called Cottonwood, 270 units. He helped us with some of the due diligence there. And so really excited to have him on the show. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm excited as well.
So let's have some fun today. So, let's start the way we always do, George, and just have you tell my listeners a little bit about your background, how you got in the business. I know there's a big construction component, but let's educate anyone that has not heard you've been interviewed before.
Sure. So, I'm originally from South Florida. I know you're over in Florida as well.
Right.
And went and started getting my electrical engineering degree. Throughout those 5 years of getting my degree, I kind of realized that I didn't really want to go down that path of being an engineer. And I really wanted to open up my own company. I wasn't sure what at that time, but started doing some research on successful individuals, and it kind of kept coming back to real estate at some point in their careers. So that's when I started digging into real estate investing, and started looking into single family first, and started doing some deals. I got educated and started doing some deals. At that point, I had already graduated, and I was working at UPS in the engineering department.
Oh, I worked at UPS loading trucks. I like to tell that story.
Okay.
Yeah, for 2 weeks. I lost about 10 pounds. Hardest job I ever had in my life. Sorry to interrupt. I just, that's one of the more embarrassing moments of my life. Anyway, so you were in engineering. At least, we weren't.
Yeah, I mean, it was still, UPS doesn't play, man.
No, they don't.
They put you to work.
Right.
So, I was doing deals while I was there working, and finally started doing enough consistently where I felt like I was losing money by having my W-2.
And this was single family still?
Still single family at that point.
And this was when and where?
This was in South Florida. Before the
like
crash.
Miami, Hills, Broward or Dade? Yeah, okay.
Mainly Miami.
Okay, Miami, Dade. So and this was when approximately how long ago?
2005, 2006.
Okay. Before the crash. Okay.
Before
perfect.
the crash. Yeah.
Okay.
So, started doing pretty well, and decided to quit my W-2 and start doing full time.
Nice.
Mainly we were doing wholesales and fix and flips.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't really holding on to many properties. I really fell in love with the transforming the properties and
sure.
Taking these ugly.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the crash happened, and that's what made me make the move to Dallas. We were pretty lucky when the crash happened, in the fact that we weren't holding a lot of properties.
Good, because they got devastated down in, the whole state of Florida. I mean, everybody knows my story, but so you're lucky. Good.
Yeah. And then, so we started looking into a couple of different markets, and Dallas was one of them. We knew another investor that had made that move a couple years back, and went over there, and it was crazy. It was like night and day compared to what was happening in Miami. So we were sold right away, moved to Dallas. Instead of jumping back into the fix and flips, just because the market had kind of changed, then we started doing single family rentals. We started doing some smaller multifamily, like 8plexes and whatnot.
And this was in like 8, 9, or 10, or okay.
Around 8. We moved in 8, and then
Gotcha.
As soon as the market started heating up again, so I guess let me go back a little bit on those rentals. I didn't enjoy managing them that much, and it was very hands-on. Couldn't really afford to have a property manager or for it to make sense. So we were out there collecting rents and all that good stuff. So as soon as the market started heating up again, I went ahead and we sold everything and started doing the fix and flips. And as I wanted to scale the fix and flips, I kept running into the issues with contractors. We had been burned once in South Florida as well. Then got burned here in Dallas. And that second time, that's when I decided to open the construction company. I knew for me to scale, I was gonna have to bring that in-house. And it worked.
Did you become, sorry to interrupt, did you become a GC yourself? Did you hire a GC? Tell me what you did in that regard.
So the interesting part of this, which took me a while, especially coming from Florida, Florida, you have to have a general contracting license.
Right.
You have to go through the education and whatnot. In Texas, there is no governing body that looks over a general contractor. The only people that need to have a license through the state are the trades, which electrician, plumber, HVAC. But you can literally just show up and say, "Hey, I'm a general contractor."
No kidding. Okay. All right. So you did it. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. So I showed up and said, "Hey, I'm a general contractor."
You didn't have to go through all that brain damage. I mean, my son was thinking about being a GC. It's a lot of work. I mean,
it is.
So, okay.
And I back during college, I did work with my uncle who owns a general contracting company, and I did do a lot of that studying because I had thought about going down that path. So I don't know. I felt I had that I could do it, and went ahead and got it started. It was a lot of learning in the beginning, like everything else, but put some good systems and procedures in place, and we really started cranking out the fix and flips. And then to the point where we started doing some new development. And then I think it was about 4 years ago, I kind of looked back at everything I had done, and I had one of these moments, right, where you kind of
epiphanies.
Yes. I felt like I was literally sleeping for years, or I don't know what was happening, but I was so in the day-to-day that I didn't look around, and I wasn't happy with what I had done because I hadn't produced any passive income. I hadn't produced any true cash flow. Like everything I was making, I had to constantly go
work for it. Yeah. Every January 1st, you go back to work, right?
Yep. And then I started looking into large multifamily. I think, it didn't just happen like that. I had a client on the construction company, and they were a syndicator, multifamily syndicator. Before that, I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know. I figured you had to come in with millions and millions of your own money to buy these 100+ apartments. So he educated me on it. I asked him a bunch of questions, and kind of once I figured out what he had done, and that, he had just syndicated this, got another investors to invest with him. I fell in love with the concept, and I started getting educated, and then started putting a lot of my focus towards multifamily. And at some point I realized that that's definitely what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. And I dropped the single family altogether, and that's where I'm at now.
Nice. So when did you get your first larger multifamily? How big was it? When was it? Where was it? Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, it was 2018. Wasn't that large. It was a 37 unit, which
in Dallas, or I know you've got stuff in Oklahoma too.
This one was in Texas, not in Dallas. It was in Temple, Texas, which is by Waco, where Baylor is.
Okay.
And it was. I don't suggest somebody going after that size. I mean, it was a good learning experience. Once again, I found myself having to be a little more hands-on than I thought I would have to be with the asset management.
Let me interject something if I may. So guys, if you buy under 70 units, you really can't, 70 to 100 even, you can't have an on-site staff, a full-time staff, but you get to 70 or 100 and you've got a full-time management person / leasing agent, you've got a full-time maintenance person, and it's a whole lot less work. You go under that, and of course you're going to rely very often on a management company's infrastructure for maintenance and their people for leasing, and unless you have one person on site, it's just a lot more work with the smaller property. So please continue, buddy. So that was your first one, and then what then you said, okay, we're going bigger.
Yeah. And then we from that one we went to a 216 unit one. That was in Oklahoma.
Nice.
And
the rest is history.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
Well, you've done a lot in a very short amount of time. I mean, that first one was in 18. That's freaking awesome. And like I said, we had you. Your construction company, because I know, you do enough of that flipping and repositioning on houses, and you learn so much because every house is different. And I mean, I feel the same way. It's a whole lot of fun, and you come from that background. And like I said, we had you do the due diligence at this beautiful asset. By the way, guys, we're raising money for that right now. This should go live. We'll fully subscribe pretty quickly, but it's an incredible, wasn't that a beautiful asset?
Yeah, great asset. The location is
fantastic.
Doesn't get better than that. Yeah.
Right. So if you're a accredited investor, text the word partner to 41411 and we'll chat with you about it. It is a screaming deal too. So anyway, I'm real excited about that one. But you've got a lot of construction background. So let's lean on that a little bit. Let's talk about some of the typical reposition things that you do, the improvements that you make when you buy an asset. Maybe we can speak to some of the ones you've done or some of the ones you've been involved with. When you buy one of these assets, obviously we're looking to add value. We're looking to boost the NOI by increasing rents, by improving these units. What are some of the common things you see, do, and maybe speak to that a little bit, and maybe some little ninja tricks in that regard even. So let's talk about that. Yeah.
So, I think the first goal we have when we acquire property is to, one, harden the asset and take care of any of the major deferred maintenance, really show the tenant base that's there now that, hey, we mean business. We're here to really change things. And, we get the roofs done right away. If there's any roof issues, if there's any major plumbing, we get that done right away. Foundation, just, the major components, if a boiler needs to be replaced or something along those lines, we get all that done. And then, meanwhile, we'll probably start working on some of the curb appeal as well. Big thing that I think we've done on almost every single property is on the exterior paint, we'll come in and if it's got brick, we usually paint the brick.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know on a maintenance side, you're adding something that you've got to maintain, right?
Yeah, I really want to know why you do that. Why would you do that?
It just changes the property so much. You can start with a blank canvas at that point with your color scheme, right? You don't have to blend the brick into what you're doing. Makes the property look more modern instead of having your red brick or whatever kind of brick you have. So that dramatically changes the property. Right away, somebody driving by is going to look at that and know, okay, well, they're making changes.
That's a big change. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we'll do that.
What color will you typically? I mean, because you can't undo that once you paint that brick. I'm really kind of surprised to hear you say that.
You can paint another color.
Well, I guess that's it. Okay.
Yeah, wow. We usually it depends. We've done grays, we've done white. Right now those are kind of the two that.
Yeah, those are the two most popular for sure. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you do the exterior work first, so the tenants see you're they want to see you're taking action, and that makes rent increases and things of that nature much more palatable. And now what asset class do you typically buy? I don't follow you enough to know. You buying C assets, B assets, A assets?
Typically C, heavy lifts. We have especially with COVID, and we started looking more into B class. But that was mainly because the bridge loans disappeared
Right.
for a
Right.
bit, and
Right.
they're coming back pretty hard now. So um, I like both. That
Okay.
there's
Okay.
yeah, it's
Fair enough. When you get a C asset, do you? One of the things we like to do is immediately put a big camera system in, and so we can monitor things, which has really been important in several situations for us recently. We gate them. Do you do any of that, or just talk about that a little bit?
so most of the C class assets that we acquire, they're not secured. The gates are either busted or
Right.
yeah. So we come in, we do that. We usually rebrand as well.
Right.
Depends, unless it's got a good reputation, we'll consider keeping it. I think we've only done that
And for
for
those
one
of
of
you
them.
that are brand new, for those of you that are brand new, rebranding means you rename it. And so what you want to do when you look at an asset is you look at what the online reputation looks like. You go on Google and see, if everybody hates this place, then yeah, you better change the name. And it's called rebranding. And it sometimes can be kind of costly because you're going to put a new, landmark sign up and have to change your documents and website and all those things. But sometimes it's a must do. So please continue. For those that didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, and then we start upgrading units depending how many vacant units we have at a given time. We want to try to get that done as quick as possible.
So how many will you typically do at a time? If that's a number you can throw out there, and then I'd love to hear about. Let's start with that, and then I'd love to hear about your heaviest lift. What you did because you're in the construction business. You've probably done some real big ones. So
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. So as far as how many units, it depends. We're pretty good about mobilizing our crews. I think on our largest one, we had a $10 million capex on 1,300
Wow!
units.
Wow!
And
Wow! That's huge.
yeah, at one point I think we were doing if I remember correctly, I mean we were completing maybe 10 to 15 units a week.
Wow. This is on 1,500 units. Hell, that's almost your whole portfolio. So that was one really big
1,300,
purchase
yeah.
you made?
1,300 unit, yeah, it was a 5
13.
property.
Wow. And what was talk about the components of the reposition? I mean, what were the improvements that you made on the inside of the units?
It was your typical C-class upgrade.
Okay.
We didn't go too crazy. It was just paint everything, new flooring, refinish countertops, refinish tubs and shower
So
surrounds.
you resurfaced, you didn't replace. Okay, so it was a standard LVT floors and so
Yep.
fixtures, things of that
All new
nature.
fixtures, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So I know that you help other companies with due diligence, obviously, because you helped us with that Dallas asset. So maybe let's talk about that for a minute. Let's when you're going in to do the due diligence on an asset, talk about that process.
Yeah. So I like to think that we bring a different twist to it where, even if it's not my asset, I'm going to look at it like it is. And I'm going to, I know at the end of due diligence, I want to know what my full CapEx is going to cost me, not just my deferred maintenance, not just some items. Like I want to know exactly what it's going to cost to get the CapEx, the full business plan done. So one thing we do is when we go in for other investors, we're looking at the upgrades too. We're not just looking at the deferred maintenance. I mean, we're definitely going to take a hard look at all those items. And then we're making sure that we're tying real hard numbers to what it's going to take to fix whatever's wrong there.
Nice.
That's one thing that when I started doing this, I noticed was lacking a little bit. Like sometimes the due diligence, it's almost like some investors just want to check it off their list, but the data they're getting isn't really usable data. It's just
right.
So yeah, when we're done with the due diligence, we give a very detailed report. It's got an estimate of what it's going to cost to do the full business plan.
Nice, nice, nice. So, um, you know, I know that, we talked just for a moment before we started recording about really your business development. And I saw the book Traction behind you there. And I asked you about the EOS system, which we use in our companies as well. And then for those of you who don't know, there's a book called Traction. A guy's name is Wickman that wrote it. And it's really a strategy around running your business. And it's fantastic. And I know you mentioned you're starting to implement it now in your in your actual multifamily business, but you've already implemented it in your construction business. Have you found that it's really helped?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's for especially the fact that I've got different companies and
Right.
Without being able to track these KPIs and having our meetings where I know what's going on with each company, it would be tough.
Right. Yeah, I'm giving them a free plug here because it's been really instrumental for us as well in wrapping our hands around our company. Like, for example, most companies will have an organizational chart and they have you create an accountability chart for what everyone's accountable for. And that simple thing alone is
That was huge.
Huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, I had a lot of people in the wrong seats and I didn't. Yeah.
Right. And the other, one of the other big pieces for us is what you do is you create these 90-day goals. They call them rocks, but they're 90-day goals. And it just helps enhance your focus so much, even in a small company. So I encourage you guys listening. I gave the book and had someone speak to my mastermind members. You guys know I've got the largest multifamily mastermind now, really, I think, on the planet. I think we're at 14 billion in assets in there. But, I gave them a copy of the book and had an EOS implementer. You can hire these people to implement that process for you. Did you do that or did you do it internally?
I did it internally. I may.
No, I'm pretty same, and I'm pretty sure we're going to hire someone to really help hone it for us. Now, I know, guys, we're off on a tangent for those of you who haven't even bought a multifamily yet, but it is really good system you should look at. That's a great book you should read, just kind of as an aside. But let's shift gears for a minute. I see this awesome poster behind you. Looks like a vision board. Is that a vision board?
That is a vision board.
It's freaking awesome. If you guys aren't seeing this, he's got all these statements, these things that he's embodying, like worthy, resilient, brave, motivated, happy, fun. All these states of being that he's emulating, and quotes from hitters and luminaries and pictures of things that he wants. And guys, okay, here's a guy that has made millions just in the last couple of years alone. So this is what we call a clue, my friends. Okay. And so, and I've got my vision boards. They're behind my green screen here, and I won't make you suffer through seeing those. But the point is, the successful people know to manage their focus, especially in this crazy time that we're in right now. Don't get me started on this election, but on that note, let's pivot to that for a second. What are your thoughts economically with what's happening with the new Biden administration and the prospect of socialism and
I think
all of that?
The most important thing you said right there was focus.
Right.
Honestly, I try not to focus on things that I can't control. I know I can't.
Good answer. Good answer.
I can't control it at this point. I went and voted, and that was really all I could do.
Yeah. Good answer. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And the country's very divided on all of this. I have some concerns because he's now he can pretty much do whatever he wants, and he's talked about eliminating the 1031 exchange.
I was about to say my biggest concern are the taxes right now.
Capping depreciation, and raising taxes. I think a lot of interesting things are going to happen over the next couple of years with that. So be real interesting to see. But we're in a very interesting time. We're recording this actually on January 7th. So yesterday was when they stormed the Capitol. So it's a little crazy right now. But well, listen. Let's see. What else can we talk about? So what's your motivator, brother? What's your why? I mean, I see all these awesome things on your vision board behind you, but I think I know the answer. But I'd love to hear you articulate it.
Yeah, I think I'm covering the why.
There it is. Yeah, I saw it back there. You're beautiful, beautiful kids. He's got the most beautiful kids. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, so let me ask you a couple of questions that I regularly ask. Why do you think people give up? People that want to do this business, but just never either don't do it or fail at it, or why do you think that happens?
It's a great question. I mean, I'm sure you see, educating individuals on how to do this. Who knows how many you see that just come through and don't do anything.
Right.
So honestly, I think they just stop short. There's nothing easy about this. I mean, it's a ton of work, and it really doesn't start to pay off till you've put a lot of the work in, and then you start building that traction.
Right.
And honestly, I think they fall a little short. And there's a great book.
3 Feet from the Goal.
Yes. Such a good book.
Right.
I think it has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, sure. They give up, and they're so close to success. I remember a company I had back in 2010 was about to go bankrupt, and I just pivoted. I innovated. I redirected my focus, and it turned into a large company with a lot of employees. So let me ask you this: what talk about a setback, a failure, like a real doozy, and maybe what you learned from it that maybe helped you in future success. Talk about a seminar. I call them seminars, but does anything come to mind?
There's a couple. I'm just trying to think of a really good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, there was one point before I started kind of making that tilt towards multifamily where I felt like I was spread really, really thin, and I was growing the construction company. I was growing the single family investments. I had a roofing division as part of the construction company, which was becoming almost its own monster. And I was growing that. I didn't have the EOS implemented. So, I mean, I was working 18 hours, 20 hours a day, and I finally realized that I had to focus, that it was just, I couldn't do it all, at least not with proper systems and a proper team in place.
Right.
And as soon as I realized that, and I really started to trim some things out and trim the fat here and there, it was a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, I that resonates with me so much, because I remember back when I had a couple of frozen yogurt shops, and I had a carpet cleaning business, and I had vending carts selling ice cream bars, and I was flipping houses, and everything suffered because my focus was so diluted. And once I got rid of all the fluff and just focused on real estate, I bought 500 houses and some apartments in that next rush. You can't allow your focus to be diluted. Focus is power. And right now, more than ever, you need to direct your focus. If you're listening to me, you're a leader, and focus is so important right now. Even if you're just leading your family, it is so critical that, you bring in the good stuff and you don't get sucked into the media and all the crap that's out there right now. And, really pay attention to that. Now, let me ask you this. You said you were working. What did you have to sacrifice to get to where you are right now? Everybody thinks it's just, easy and all that. What'd you have to sacrifice?
Oh man, I've quite a bit. my social life is pretty minimal. It's starting to build it back up, but I mean, mainly working, not a lot of going out, and I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying that that's what you need to do. I do think actually celebrating some of my wins, I need to get better at that for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of the sitting around, and I'm never just relaxing.
Right. How about time with your babies? Is that suffered, or is that are you pretty good about managing that?
So it's suffered a little bit, but before it got to a certain point, I made it a priority, and there's not one. I can say that there's not one important aspect of their life where I'm not there.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's my greatest regret in life. I tell people that, I would come home and I'd play with my kids, but I was so focused on success, I was distracted. And so I wasn't there mentally. My kids will say I was a great dad, but I didn't live up to my own expectations. And you've got some beautiful kids, and, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So I'm really glad to hear that. So, if I've got a lot of listeners that know they want to get into this business, they haven't taken action yet, they haven't done anything yet. What might you say to them?
Can't wait around. You can't, I think a lot of people kind of tell themselves, oh, it's not the right time, or I'll do it when this happens. And, the time is now, like,
yeah. Good.
And focus for sure. I know you already stressed that, but, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. I tell this story sometimes when I'm being interviewed that, I listen to a couple of other podcasts, not that many, I don't have time, but I listen to Tim Ferriss's, and, he introduced, and I get excited because I'm at 10 million downloads, and he probably gets that a week right now, but he interviews the best of the best in the world, people, the best actors, Arnold and Jamie Foxx and Ed Norton and Ray Dalio, billionaires and CEOs, and you name it, they've all been on his show. And he deconstructs their success. And I started to hear a pattern, and they all meditate. And that's a clue, guys, because why do they meditate? It enhances their focus. Focus really is power. So I just wanted to interject that last little piece. Well, listen, last question that I ask a lot is, if you went back and told your 20-year-old self some things, knowing what you know now, is there anything that you do differently? There may not be, but I'm just curious if anything comes to mind. No,
absolutely. And I get this question asked quite a bit, and I always want to try to change up the answer, but I can't. They
need to hear it, brother. They need to hear it.
Yeah.
I ask it, and they've heard it before. They need to hear it from every successful person I have on the damn show.
So I would skip the single family and go straight to multifamily, large multifamily. There's no need to go small.
Bigger, faster.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, my friends. Good to see you, brother.
Same here,
great having you on the show. And, I really appreciate you coming on. And I'm sure we'll cross paths very soon.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
All right, Bo. Take care, man. See you.
You too.